Okay, so we are looking at day 3 from week 33. We're going to read the daily assessment. I'm just going to read over here. I can read the questions after. So, imagine you are a tightrope walker. As part of your act, you have to walk across a 3/4-inch steel wire that is 40 feet above the ground. To do this, you have ballet slippers on your feet and a balancing pole in your hands. Moreover, your palms are sweating and you can feel thousands of eyes watching every step you take. Because of these factors, walking across the wire takes a huge amount of courage, even with a safety net. Like being a tightrope walker, being a police officer also takes a great deal of courage because of the risk it involves. It's a kind of high wire act that has thrilled circus audiences. They move in unison, with two men carrying another man on their shoulders. Now imagine that there is not just one person walking across the wire. Instead, there are 3 people. This stunt is called a pyramid act. It was invented in 1925 by a German circus performer named Karl Wallenda. Karl was the leader of a group known as the Great Wallendas. In 1928, when he first performed the pyramid stunt in New York City for the first time, Karl Wallenda wanted to make sure people loved it. When the audiences saw the stunt, they cheered for 15 minutes straight. Even so, the Wallendas pulled it off. So the day before his first performance, Wallenda announced that his group would do its act the next day without a net. No one in the history of the American circus has ever done a pyramid on a high wire. To do it without a net seems crazy. 2 more men stood on these rods, forming a second level. They too were yoked by a steel rod fitted to shoulder harnesses. Karl Wallenda was always looking for ways to improve his act. In 1947, he invented an incredible 7-person pyramid. In this new act, 4 men walked on the wire. They were connected by steel rods fitted to shoulder harnesses. On the 3rd level rode the 7th member, a woman sitting high up on a chair. Her chair rested on the rod that connected to the men directly below her. The members of the Great Wallendas constantly changed, but they were all part of the extended family: uncles, nieces, brothers, in-laws, and so forth. They also had sisters, aunts, and cousins participate. For example, Karl's wife Helen was once part of the act. She quit twice and threatened to quit hundreds of times. She couldn't stand working without a net, but Karl used his charm to talk her back onto the wire. In 1960, however, Helen quit for good. It was lucky for Helen that she quit when she did. Tragedy finally hit the Great Wallendas on January 30th, 1962. The group was forming at a Shrine Circus in Detroit. More than 6,500 fans packed their State Fair Coliseum. The drums rolled, the arena darkened, and the thin blue spotlight picked up the Great Wallendas. At the very high point of their act, they slowly inched out on the high wire in their famous 7-person pyramid. Dieter Shep, a nephew of Karl Wallenda, led the way. Jenny Wallenda Fango was standing on the platform at the end of the wire. She could see Dieter Shep was in trouble. He was holding his balancing pole with the tips of his fingers instead of the palms of his hands, she said. He was getting tired. I saw him toss the pole into the air slightly to get a better grip. When he did, he lost his balance. Shep cried out, "I can't hold on anymore. I can't hold on anymore." The whole pyramid collapsed. Shep was killed as he tumbled to the ground 40 feet below. Richard Faughan also died, while Mario Wallenda was permanently paralyzed below the waist. Somehow the others managed to grab hold of the wire and wrap their legs around it to save their lives. "It was like a nightmare," said Karl later. "I still can't believe it." Circus workers below used a tumbling mat to catch Jana when the 2 men let her go. As Jana fell toward the ground in almost certain death, Karl Wallenda reached out and grabbed her arm. Gunther Wallenda grabbed her other arm. Only a miracle saved Jana Shep, Richard's wife, who was riding in the chair. Still, she suffered a concussion when she bounced off the mat and hit her head on the concrete floor. Once Jana was safe, the 2 men managed to drag themselves to the safety of the platform. The Great Wallendas live by their own special motto: life is on the wire, the rest is just waiting. So despite the death of 2 family members, the Great Wallendas performed the very next night. However, after the accident, the 7-person pyramid was dropped from the show. Instead, they did a 3-man pyramid. The sold-out crowd roared in approval. Still, Gunther Wallenda had a rare moment of doubt. "Yes, the show must go on," he said, but once in a while you got to thinking, why? However, Karl Wallenda went on performing death-defying high-wire stunts. Many times he worked alone. At the end, he walked over Georgia's Tallua Gorge, 750 feet in the air. A year later, he did a 640-foot walk across a stadium in Philadelphia. His walk that day thrilled the crowd. He even did a headstand on the wire halfway across. On March 23rd, 1970, Carl Walanda tried to walk on a wire between two hotels in Puerto Rico. He was 73 years old at the time. Even at such an old age, for him, it was not a hard stunt. Other people, like Al Andrews, the famous tightrope walker, had also done the stunt. The planned walk was 100 feet above Ashford Avenue. Officials tried to warn him that winds would be gusty. Don't worry about it, said Carl. The wind is stronger on the street than up here. Carl Walanda would not be stopped. He was fearless, and he put his destiny in the hands of God. Carl once said, God gives us the courage and the gift of talent to do our acts, and when he is ready to take us, he will. That day, as Carl inched out on the wire, a gust of wind blew. The wire vibrated as he steadied himself. Just after Carl passed the halfway point, the cable began to sway. Again, he started to wobble. His young granddaughter, who was standing on a hotel room, saw the danger. She shouted, "Sit down, Poppy, sit down." Carl crouched down to regain his balance, but he fell anyway. As he had done 16 years earlier in Detroit, Carl grabbed the wire, but this time he couldn't hold on. Despite his granddaughter's warnings, it was too late. He fell toward the street below, bounced off a roof of a taxi, and landed on the pavement. He died from massive internal injuries. After 57 years of high wire stunts, the greatest of the great Walandas had given his last performance.